This episode is brought to you by Celsius. Celsius. Live fit. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, and get comfy. You know what time it is. It's time for the #1 trending podcast on the internet. We speak on the ups, the downs, with laughs, and with gasps, and the occasional issues that may require tissues. The Culture Minds podcast series with your hosts, Rebecca Fernandes, Scott Le Roc, and Nadia Brancker.
All right, so we're live again. Welcome to another exciting Culture Minds podcast episode. My name is Scott Le Roc, your host, and of course, we have the lovely ladies with us again today. Nadia, what's up?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I am cool. Rebecca, Bex, what's going on?
We're back.
Yeah. All right. What happened since last episode? What sort of feedback did y'all get? What have people been talking about? What's popping?
Ooh,
Nadia's been hot on the trail.
I've been hearing that. I'm very honest, they said. But I think people are definitely, loving the content. We were talking about one of the major ones when we were on the other interview, and they were asking, when I said, do kids spoil a relationship?
Oh, yeah.
And Scott put me on the spot, and I said yes.
You expect me to answer?
Yeah, and I said yes. But I found that was a hot topic. Yeah. Of course, I explained myself. Of course, we talked about crop over. And of course, I think everyone can see who we have here with us.
Yeah.
I think I want to talk about the children and the relationship.
We can talk about everything.
We can talk about everything, body image, relationships. I mean, we want to hear.
All right, so for those of you who don't know, joining us this week on Culture Minds, we have none other than Mrs. Carol Roberts-Reifer. I don't want to just say the CEO of the NCF. You got so many titles.
Your Capricorn buddy.
Yes, Capricorn.
Start right there. Capricorn's rule.
Watch out.
What, 9th and 16th?
Yes, 16.
9th and
You remember
16th?
my birthday? Oh, gosh, I feel
9th and 16th?
special. Yes, indeed. Farmer workmate.
That's right.
Yo, there's a lot of history there.
A lot of years, a lot of gray hairs. Yep.
Let's start there, actually, with the gray
gray hair.
hairs and the radio life and media.
Well, what do you want to know?
When did you start? Like, and how?
I started when I was 17.
I think you're
A gentleman whose name you may not know, Vic
Right.
Fernandes, actually hired me. But before that, I always wanted to be on the radio.
Really?
From
Why?
I was, from the time I was about 4, listening to Rediffusion in the corner of my home in Brittonsill, and then in Vauxhall. I just wanted to be on the radio. I can't tell you why. I've always read a lot, I think, but I don't think that had any real thing to do with it. I just, sometimes your soul, even as a child, says this is right for you, and you can't explain it. You may have had a similar experience. All I really wanted to do was to be on the radio, not to be on television, not to be a doctor, not to be a lawyer, not to be a teacher like my mother wanted. I just wanted to be on the radio. What did that mean? I had no idea.
So what
How
did your
was I
mother
going to
think
get
about
it done? I had no idea. It took her a while to come around to it. In those days, y'all are lucky because there is a greater acceptance of quote-unquote non-traditional professional paths. In my day, I'm 58, so I'm talking like 1969, early 70s. If you were bright, you wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer. If you learned well, you wanted to be a teacher or a nurse. Right. And after that, it just fell off. So to want to be on the radio presented my mother with 2 challenges. We were poor, living in a community. Why, what makes you think that you could get that done? And 2, we are poor, living in a black community. Go get a job where you can help put food on the table. And they didn't see, I grew up in a household dominated by women. So it was my mother, my aunts, my grandmother. Very few men. I saw my grandmother practically build her own home, put up her own paling with galvanized, build her own chicken coop. She did every single thing. She was a titan. A titan, and she raised me. And so the thing was, you go to school, to end of secondary school. University never occurred to me until I was like 29. And then you go get a job because you've got to put your hand to the plow, so to speak, and help raise the others. But I just wanted to be on the radio. So at primary school, I wrote poems and I I wrote plays. Again, not even knowing why I was doing it. It was just what I felt like doing. Then I went to foundation, did the same thing, joined the drama club, and all of those extracurricular activities. And then I did quite well, very well in my O levels, and I went to sixth form at Harrison College, and the whole house rejoiced because
Harrison College.
Harrison College. So yes, she's going to be an astronaut. And then I did quite well at Harrison College, on track for really good A-level results. And then one day I saw an ad for an apprenticeship at an advertising agency, Smith & Oxley Advertising. And I applied for it, ripped out a page out of my exercise book and sent it in. And I got that job for the vacation. And one of the things you had to do was you had to go up to CBC every Friday, because it was during the hurricane season, and United Insurance used to do hurricane tips. So you would go to CBC, and then you would go to Rediffusion. So it was radio, and it was television. Denise Shepherd was the host of the TV program. And one Friday, it was the end of, could have been like around the end of August, because it was probably like my last 2 weeks at the advertising agency when I was coming out of CBC, which is not the CBC that y'all know. You need to get some old pictures from your dad, Rebecca. Looked totally different. When I was coming out to go into the yard, there was a notice board. On a notice board, they had an ad for a radio announcer. Right. And I thought, do this. So I turned around to the receptionist, Muriel Niles, and I said, the deadline was the Friday at 4 o'clock. I said, can you apply for that? She said, yes. You want to apply? I said, yes, but I don't know what to do. And she gave me a piece of foolscap paper and gave me a pen and told me, just do the application. So I wrote in my application, listed the subjects that I was doing, the subjects that I had at CXC. In those days, no email, obviously. Folded it up. She gave me an envelope, and I put it in a box.
Whoa.
And that was it. And then around the end, so then I have to go home now and tell my mother, I think I get in a job.
Right.
I applied for this job. I think I may get it. What the hell does that mean? But school starts in October. I go, like end of September, early October, I go back now into upper six. And so I went home and told nobody.
Right.
Slept on it, agonized on it. And then one day I said, I can't remember what the conversation was. It had to be, if you have parents and grandparents who are strict, a very light conversation that you could ease in this thing. I said, I've been thinking, I've been thinking, Mommy, and I used to call my grandmother Mama, that I'm not going to go back to school, I'm going to look for a job. Dead silence.
I can't even imagine thinking that. No.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Brave.
So, like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Explain.
And then you begin to hear all the things, I done by your uniforms and your school clothes and your books, and you ain't going back to school. But how you can make this decision? I said, I think I'm going to go and look for a job. I think hear me now.
Yes.
I think I want to contribute to the household.
And
And I think, I have a role to play. I want to help pay the bills. So long story short, they were like, all right, but you got to find a job. So you got to go. So then I went through the motions of applying everywhere else. Every day calling CBC. Anything happen? Anything happen? And then one day they called me for an audition. And I thought, this is it. You got to ace this audition. And I started a practice that I still use to this day. Even when I was coming here today, I go through in my head every single thing I think I want to say. Okay. I try to figure out what y'all are going to ask me, and then I work out in my head every single thing I want to say. There's no such thing as ad-libbing. And so I went and I did the audition, and I aced it. But I had to wait another couple of weeks, because of course you got to go. I didn't know this. You got to go through the process. You got to interview other people and shortlist
and the host vet
and all the rest. And every day my mother comes up from work. You hear anything? Anybody respond? Yeah. And then one day I got a call to say, Diane Goodman, Mr. Fernandes' secretary, called and said, we want to offer you the job, you need to come. So now I have another difficult task. I have to go and tell them, I got a job. But, so I went and I said, and my grandmother, I said, Mama, I got a job. Great. So when you're starting working, where you going? I said, I'm going to CBC. So you're doing what? I said, I'm going to CBC, I'm going to be a radio announcer. She was fine. She was calm on the surface. She said, "Are you sure? No people gonna talk about you. You know this and that and that." I said, "That's all right. This is what I want to do." She said, "Well, wait till your mother come home." So when my mother came home, I told her, as usual, and this art stands you in good stead. I figure in my head how I can do it. So she was coming down the gap. I said, Mommy, I got the job at CBC and my ma says it's going to be fine. So that kind of, you know, weave it. Nowadays we call it production.
Right.
But I kind of produced that.
Polished it.
And that was it. I went to CBC. I loved it from day one. I loved everything about it. I felt like my skin was settled on my frame, and it wasn't about that I thought I was good. Up to today, I still don't think that I am good. I think that I can get it done, which is a major difference. But it was like coming home. I loved it. And even though I've done other things in my career, I've always tried to keep close to radio. So like I worked at a credit union, and I said, you know, y'all should start a radio show. Y'all should do some radio ads. Y'all, you know, we should do some stuff with media. So then I got a chance. I went to the NCF, which obviously has great activities around media. But, well, I went to university, and I was like, we should start a radio station. Right. You know, we should do this. We should have plays. So I get to do what I want to do. Same thing with the NCF. We needed to expand our advertising base. We need to do different ads. We needed to do videos. And, I get to do what I want to do.
But, you know, it's interesting you said that, you know, when you were younger, you said you wanted to be in the media. It was like, you know, no. And it was a bit easier for us. But I remembered when I was younger, I always was into dancing and acting. And I would pretend in the mirror interviewing my own self, but, you know, and the teddy bears and everything. And I remember I said to my uncle, you know, I am going to be, you know, I want to be on television. I'm going to go CBC. He said, that don't make no money. And it was still...
Well, he was right.
He still is.
And that is one of the things we're going to talk about too, you know. And I remember it was not like, you know, you're going to go and, you know, go and do media, going to do communications. It was thought of as, no, you're going to, because I want to be a dancer and I wanted to host. And it was, at that point, they said,
And it's only now changing, you know. It hasn't changed totally, but it is only now changing where people accept whether it is the arts or media or sports as
careers,
that there is a career and there is money to be made, and it is not a side gig, and people don't ask you as they used to ask me, so you can do this for how long? Like forever? You know, do you have a day job? I sing at night. So what do you do during the day? I sleep. You know, people still ask entertainers that. You know,
they do.
Right. So what do you do during the day?
What
do you do during the day?
So what do you think is the problem? Like, you know, we talked about that briefly in terms of there seems to be, in terms of the culture industries, people still see it as a side gig, and it seems to be a problem in terms of getting it as a career. There seems to be a block somewhere. We talked about the Nigerian film industry booming, and a lot of industries seem to be booming. What do you think is the problem here in Barbados that we are still struggling to create the industry?
And I did see your clip when you were talking about culture.
I'm very passionate about it.
I saw that. I was like, I want to meet her. There is no one answer and there is no one problem. One of the biggest problems is capacity, where for too long we have thought, well, if I'm producing this cookie, how many Barbadians are likely to want cookies? Nah, I think I have a phrase, it's not original, go big or go home. How many people in the world are likely to want this cookie? How can I get it to them? Must it always be a cookie, or could it be a cookie recipe? Or could it be a cookbook of cookies? Or could it be a cookie cartoon? And even in our schools, especially in our schools, we're not taught to think like that, to see the world as ours and to go big and then structure it and come down to what is doable. We have a culture of being taught, and I think it comes from our colonial past, to fit in and to just stay within your lane. What is your lane? If you're thinking about what is in your mind, what is your lane? Your lane is just one huge infinitesimal superhighway. That's all it is. And so we just can't produce for ourselves. we have to produce for the world. So even if you're an entertainer and you ply your trade in Barbados, let's face it, you're not going to go very far. You know that. You're not going to go very far because of the capacity. Right. You got 300,000 odd souls. How many like soca? How many like this kind of soca? How many like this soca song? How many like this artist singing this soca song? So you keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So that is one of the issues. The other one is, and it's tied to capacity, is an acceptance of the value of what we do. Whether you're in media, you're in entertainment, you're in culture, and all of those things fall under culture. The value as seen by the powers that be, whether it is government, whether it is private sector funding, and of course whether it is your public. So lots of us in my generation would have bought all of Michael Jackson's albums. Well, you wouldn't have one Sound Pebbles album. Wouldn't have one Merry Men album or one Spice album. I remember Spice, the guys in Spice, Alan and Dean and all of the others having Hell Ol' Hell just to get their songs to be played on the radio. So all of that mixed up is what I think has prevented us from getting further onto the global platform. But times are changing, and technology has a huge part to do with it. So Mole, let's take Mole's song, Daddy No Land. Which one?
Which one? Breeze?
Breeze. Let's take song Breeze. You don't have to like Breeze. You could think it's profane. You could think, I personally love it. You could think this, you could think that. But there are people in Japan who are doing their workouts to it. So
you
the
saw
question
Brawley,
is,
Tia Murray, one of
yes,
the twins.
Tia Murray's doing.
I don't think she knew what the song meant, but she was.
I saw that this week. She was just. So how can we take all of these organic endorsements of our content and allow artists to make money from it? And that's one of the roles of the NCF, and it's a role that we take quite seriously. Now, in the past, we've looked at it at a very macro level. We want all the entertainers to do well. That's not a model that's going to work. And so very slowly but surely, we've been looking at one success story at a time, one success story at a time. And the success stories are out there. People will say, but we don't know the NCF was involved. And I feel strongly that we don't have to blow our trumpet all the time and say, oh, we helped Rebecca, or we helped Scott, and we give so-and-so $15,000. That's not me. I want to see the artist do well. And you say thanks to the NCF. We smile quietly and move on and help another artist. So we've been helping cultural practitioners in fashion and accessories, in home decor items, candles and soft furnishings. They're shipping overseas. Yep. I could actually call some names. We've been helping artists one at a time to get their product out and a critical thing about it is getting the artist to understand the business of what they do. So you still have artists coming to say they want to do an album. All right, we'll help you. What are you doing with this album afterwards? How are you going to make money from this album so you're not coming back to us next year for what? Money to make an album.
Again.
How are you going to live off of what you're doing? And they're amazing opportunities. So we've been holding their hands as well, one by one, seriously trying to get them to be able to sustain themselves. Because if I help you to the point where you can feed your family, then I can help Scott. I don't have to come back to you, again. So it is slow but steady work. And of course, our own funding is not a bottomless pit. Because the reality of it is, in a small society, health, education, law and order, economic activity, environmental impacts, in terms of government's priorities, they all line up first. Culture is important, but it is not critical. And so we come in some way behind that. That does not mean that we are an outside child. It means that we have to be realistic and do the best with what we have. And again, we just took a group of artists to Dubai that resulted in work for some of them. And we are engaging now in discussions to ensure that other artists get work. 2 weeks ago, we took a group to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they wowed the people there. I had a meeting up to yesterday afternoon. looking at how we're going to get them onto stages and on the festival and convention circuit in the U.S. We had 3:30 on 3:30 a.m. on Thursday morning. I had a meeting with an Afrobeats artist called Mr. Easy.
Yeah. I love Afrobeat.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we are looking forward to doing some work with them. We're doing some collaborations with Afrobeats artists and local acts for Crop Over, and just doing a number of things. The challenge with that is you're just doing so many things.
Yep.
You've got to stretch yourself as an institution very, very thin to ensure that you reap the success from as many of them as possible. But we're hopeful.
It definitely sounds like a lot is going on. I want to take you to the DJ world where you happen to dabble from time to time,
Time to time, which I don't do. Like, I am not a DJ.
Internationally, especially last year, I would say there was a lot of talk about Barbados soca not traveling. It's not doing as well as soca from other islands. That's what the
Why do you think
international
that
DJs
is?
were saying. I'm asking you, why do you think
no,
that is?
no,
And
no.
what do you think we can do about it?
That's a really tough question, and I don't think that there's anything that I'm not sure if we need to tamper with the product as opposed to the distribution.
Right.
Because you really don't know the value of a product until enough people use it and critique it.
Right.
So, I make this cookie. I think it's absolutely wonderful. I share it with y'all. Y'all think it's absolutely wonderful, but it stops right there. So how wonderful is it really? You haven't really tested it. It needs to be distributed. People need to comment on it, And I would draw the same analogy for our soca product. And don't tell me, artists are traveling every weekend.
Right.
Because chances are they're traveling to destinations in the diaspora.
Yeah.
And people from the Caribbean, Barbados in particular, are coming up to hear them, which is excellent. That's how they make a living. But I like to focus not on where we are today, but where we can be tonight or even tomorrow. And distribution and exposure to international audiences and festival promoters and stuff like that is what is key. And it's not a role for government only. And the artists themselves and their management teams have a key role to play in getting their product across. And people always talk about Rihanna. And I always give this example. I can't remember Rihanna entering NIFCA. And I can't remember Rihanna performing at Crop Over. So what propelled her? She did.
Right.
And people who believed in her did.
But I have a question there as well, because there was a point in Barbados when I remember there was, of course, we had Crossfire and Square One, and we had bands. I remember when you hear Crossfire, you hear Square One. I mean, I started back in the day, could have come and Bajans would be like, it didn't matter. We were strong. Our music was strong. We were, going places at that time. There seems to have been a lull. There seems to have been something had happened in terms of, I don't know if it's branding our music. In terms of keeping relevant. Is that because then we saw?
I think it's the relevance. I don't think that we, government, private sector, public sector, NCF, media, radio stations, DJs, I don't think we pivoted very quickly, which is a Barbadian trait. We like to sit back and see, and we go, oh, yeah.
We can work on itself,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we normally started.
right.
We are normally the popular ones, and we normally go out, and then something to me happens.
I don't agree with that. I find that we are usually
Behind.
Follow
the
pattern.
followers. Once we take it up, we turn it into a diamond,
Yep.
and then we get on as though this would always be window.
Yeah.
We were always on top.
Yeah.
But
But
I
then what
find that
happens?
we are slow to innovate.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Because
We are
Marshall
slow to
and
innovate.
Edwin and Lil Rick and these people were on the same stages. They had bands. What happened that we seem to have, we stalled a bit, or we didn't, as you said, remain relevant.
Right, we didn't pivot quickly enough to catch that curve as it was ascending.
Yeah.
And so we are now in our own ascendancy. Is there anything wrong with that? I don't think
Okay.
so. I don't think so. Where I do have a little niggling concern is the acceptance and the acknowledgement of it. We have a tendency to sit back, and I blame the DJs, DJs blame the artists.
Right.
The artists blame the patrons. Everybody blames government. And then we're just sitting down there in this stew, in this sauce, just marinating while the world is
going
passing
on.
us by. And I think we're getting out of that funk. Do I think we can move faster? Yes, I think so. But we need to move together, and there's just too much suspicion and distrust. You know, I'm still hearing artists saying they're not getting any further because DJs don't play their
music.
song.
Yes,
I'm still hearing DJs saying, "Oh, the artists producing crap and this and that." But the crap that the DJs are talking about are getting a million likes and views on YouTube. You know, it's still difficult to go to a commercial bank as an artist and say, "This is I want to go on tour, and these are my returns. You know, can I get a loan?" Still impossible. So the circle is.
I think Carol need to say that again for the banks and private sector.
It's still too fractured.
Yeah.
But even as you tell me to say it for the banks and the private sector, again, I don't think it's an indictment. It's just a status report. And
because it takes both. They need to know how to do their business plan.
When
the bank can understand what they're giving money
you look
for.
at the role and the ideology behind a bank. It is investment and return on investment. Investment and return on investment. If what the person is bringing to you isn't sound, because you have terms and conditions, because you answer to somebody. We all answer to somebody or something. But then, I got to move on because I've got 6, 8, 9, 10 other possibilities that are willing to conform. And I see it every day in the NCF. You want to work with artists. You want to work, and I don't only mean entertainment artists. I mean artists, cultural practitioners. And, in order to do business, the financial rules say you must have a TAMIS number. People say, I'm getting a TAMIS number. I'm getting a TAMIS number. And then the government can come after me for taxes. All right? So you hear it enough times, you say, you know what? Let's do a webinar. And let's bring people from BRA and National Insurance to explain. Because a lot of the misinformation is because of a lack of information. Webinar, free. You can put it up on your phone.
Nobody coming.
20 people. So, and that is why when I went to the NCF, I said, let's change this model. Let's go one success story at a time. Don't let us try to blanket the industry too much because you're wasting resources, you're wasting time, but you're not seeing results. So one practitioner at a time. We did a blitz with our Cultural Industries Development Fund. You can get up to $30,000 as a grant, not as a loan, to fund a project. And then we started seeing results. We funded every kind of project. NFT projects. We have been, if you go on our Instagram page, or just go on Instagram, almost every artist at some point in time at the bottom of their work, you see funded by in part by the National Cultural Foundation. So that is working. But remember what I said, go big or go home. I'm like Pinky and the Brain, I want to take over the world. And I think that we can. I think that Barbados can take over the world.
And look, even with Netflix and Outer Banks coming here, I mean, Bollywood, I saw that too.
Yes.
So there are opportunities here that we can get young actors and young filmmakers to actually be on these sets as well.
But also to provide training. Because part of that acknowledgement is to acknowledge that there are some areas that need some work.
Correct.
Need training and development.
Do you think there are ways the NCF can perhaps put this knowledge and info out there to the people who need to get it in a way that is probably a little more engaging to them?
Like, give me an example.
I don't know, because you spoke about people thinking getting a TAMIS number is an automatic taxation, like government trying to track me. I have that conversation. I've had that conversation with lots of DJs and stuff. I'm like, go register with the NCF, you can get equipment, bring stuff duty-free. And think, me, nah, B, they want to tax me.
Duty-free people, come on.
Even the same grant you were talking about, people think that's the hardest thing to just fill out a few forms. I'm like, it's not that difficult.
So you go online, ncf.bb, and you fill out a form. You get a response back in 24 hours as long as the internet is up. 24 hours. You're now registered as a cultural practitioner. It goes up to I do the first approval. It goes up to the ministry. Second approval, you get a certificate. You can use. What does this certificate allow you to do? You can bring items duty free. You still pay the VAT, but equipment, materials, you can bring them in duty free. This is Kaduma bands, this is DJs, this is filmmakers, culinary artists, whatever, producers, everything. You can bring in your things duty free. For the Thomas number, you go online, you apply for it. You can come to the NCF and we'll apply for it for you.
Right.
We will then call up, we will get it for you in 24 hours. What more you want?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so simple and easy that it's like.
Lots of times you will hear people say, man, I applied for a grant. This is 3 months now.
And I hear about nothing.
And I hear about nothing. And I get these calls and I go back and they say, but CEO, we're waiting on information. They got to bring the correct invoice.
Yeah.
This. So you cannot succeed in this business if you are not prepared to look after your own business.
Yeah. Right.
It is a straightforward thing.
Yeah.
Who is the best person to keep your accounts? Not you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Who is the best person to know exactly when is your next gig, where it is, and all the rest? Not you.
Correct.
So who's going to look after your business? We can only hold your hand so far. And we literally hold your hand. There are people, there are older people in the industry under COVID when we had the $1 million COVID grant who didn't have a Thomas number because they worked in the hotel industry, whatever. We said, okay, come in. They came in, took their information, applied for this for themselves. I mean, we have the evidence. So I'm not talking because it's a Saturday afternoon and happy hour ain't start yet.
Right.
We have the evidence. There are people who write to us for the what do you call it? That CARICOM certificate where you can move across the skills certificate. And we ask you to send us a sample of your work. We assess it. You say you're a piano player. Send us a video of you playing the piano, or send us transcripts from your grades or whatever at music school. And we then write to immigration and say, yes, Rebecca Fernandes, we've assessed her. She's a bona fide piano player. She can go all over the Caribbean and work. And then you hear people say, but we didn't know.
Right.
But how you know that they had an accident down in Black Rock and 2 minivans collide and knock down a coconut tree, and the coconut tree went in a woman's house as she was making pudding on Salsa Saturday? How you know? Because you found it on your phone. Go on to NCF's Instagram page.
NCF is on
Go
your
on
phone.
to NCF. Go on to NCF's website. The information is right there. You can't say you don't know. You have to say, I never tried to find out.
Right.
Major difference.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
there.
Can I ask
Some
a bit
people
about
don't
the
wanna put in
film
that bit of
industry
work.
as well?
Sure.
And I keep because I love my African movies, and everybody has heard this. I go on Netflix and I watch my reality shows and stuff, and I know I love them, and I know you explain capacity. I know there are filmmakers here. I know there are budding actors. I know there is an industry budding here.
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out why don't we see more of ourselves? Like what? And is I guess the question again: what is the block again from us getting this sector off the ground? Because it feels like you have a Bajan bus stop and you had a laugh it off. You have these different. You saw a few films on television every now and then. Where can we go from here now?
Okay. Again, no yes or no responses. Yes, we have great seedlings. We have wonderful seedlings. But there are a couple of things that we have to face frontally. Films cost money.
Yes.
I'm not talking about $1 million, but films do cost money. So it's a matter of funding, 1. 2, it's a matter of training, because we all think we're filmmakers. But at the end of the day, it's like broadcasting. There are rudiments to broadcasting. There are rudiments to DJing. There are rudiments, We always like to think, accounting and law and medicine. Oh, there's sciences.
Right.
So if you say you're an accountant, you can never be wrong. And you're in marketing, and we know it well, and you're in media, you're in entertainment. You're just dabbling.
Right.
There's
Festival.
festival events.
Yeah.
I have heard it so many times. Where anybody could do an event, I might think, go right ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me
And
how
you'll
it's
find
working
out
out
how
for
that
you.
goes.
Yeah, you just sitting behind a microphone talking. You get behind the microphone and you start to talk, and you watch them freeze.
Yeah.
Wait for that air.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So training is required. Training is required, but there's also mindset. And again, we go back to how we've been raised as a nation. Your generation again on the cusp of being much more open and amenable to everything that's possible. My generation and the generations before me and about one or two after me still kind of mired in the stereotypical profiles that have been created for us. But we have stories to tell.
Yeah.
So for me, a film industry is not only about Netflix and Outer Banks and National Geographic, and they come here in droves, and our film commission, our desk looks after them. But it's also about us telling our stories.
Yes.
So what stories do we want to tell the world? Not Barbadian stories for Barbadians,
Right.
but stories by Barbadians for the world.
Yeah.
And again, I think we're getting there. Am I impatient? Very much so.
Yeah.
So I'm like you. I mean, like, look, so when we're doing this thing,
Yeah.
but I also acknowledge
Y'all
that
very ready to act,
right. You got to do baby steps. But I think we are on the cusp of greatness where film is concerned. And I will also
And you
end
said it
off
here.
my-
Everybody heard we're on the cusp of greatness, in the
Yes,
film
yes,
industry.
no, we are.
Okay.
We are. I can't tell you everything, but we are.
We want to hear everything.
But I will also wrap up this response by telling you that there are some good examples of content out there. For a lot of people, film is feature length. I
Yeah.
want to see, a star boy or, a girl. I want sex and blood and gore. I want crying.
Yeah.
But there are some very good shorts out there.
Yeah.
And there are some very good videographers out there.
Definitely.
And one of the great things for me with COVID, even though I went to work every day, there was still a lot of downtime. Just flipping through Instagram,
Social media.
social media, and I'm seeing some people that we now work with
Yeah.
that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Jade Box, and but I knew Ruby Tech.
Yeah.
But I hadn't looked at his work. Sun Rock. And,
Very good. Yeah.
Cindy Celeste.
Yes.
And these are people doing Junior Seeley.
Yes.
Junior Seeley. And those are just the ones that come into my
Yeah.
mind. But there's so many, and we've worked with Sonny Meraki,
Yeah.
who's a brilliant musician, and there are others. Y'all know who you are. I can't call all your names today, but they're doing great work. That's content. So we need, again, to widen our definition of film.
Yeah.
Right.
This is film.
This is. So we are on the cusp of
Yeah.
greatness.
You better
people.
be, you better deliver. No, but seriously, so there are feature films and there is content. By the end of the day, it's all videography, and there's some people out there doing some really good work, and wonderful collaborations. So you're seeing music fused with visual arts, fused with fashion,
Dance.
fused with digital, fused with graphics, dance, amazing.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of the practitioners are creating because they are moved to create. Our challenge now as a nation, not as the NCF, not as government only, as a nation, is to turn this into economic
Right.
impact. You
I
know,
wanna
how
get paid, yeah.
How can you make a living off this?
Yes.
And when you say you want to get paid, one of the things is again, as a nation, as a people, to have a respect for the work of artists. I mean,
Yes.
big hardback woman like me, and people still call me and say, we're having a little school fair. You become an MC.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Do a little something for money. I remember when you went to
Right.
school with me.
Because
Yeah.
they see your talent as something that's free.
What does
right?
that
Yes.
mean?
It's a hobby.
Chances are,
It's a hobby.
chances are, I will do it.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah.
Because at this senior age,
Yeah.
I can decide what I want to
Yeah.
do from what I don't want to do. But if you do this for a living,
Yeah.
somebody say, "Hey, Scott,
Yeah.
why you playing radio and having a little something?
Yeah.
You can't pass through."
Yeah, pass
What
through is the word.
does
Yeah,
that
yeah.
mean?
You want to tell a doctor or anybody else?
Right.
Just
What
pass
does
through
that
and check
mean?
me.
Right.
Yeah.
So the person
Yep.
who put up the tent
Yeah.
didn't pass through.
Yes.
They came and put up a tent and they got
Yeah.
They got paid.
The person who's doing the catering, I hope for your sake, didn't pass through.
Yeah.
They came and they gave a quote and whatnot.
Yeah.
So your cultural content, what does it mean when you say pass through?
Yeah.
Now, I believe in negotiation.
Yeah.
So if I only have 5 cents to spend, I'm telling you up front, I
Yes.
can only afford whatever. And yeah, I will try to beat you down, but I can give something,
Yeah.
some sort of respect
Yeah.
for your effort, for your talent.
Right.
And so that will also go a long way. we will have a play, and that's probably why theater is so much on the wane. You have a play in Barbados, Barbadians ain't going. They're going to stay home and they're going to watch Days of Our Lives. Mm-hmm. And again, there's nothing right or wrong about it. Yeah. It is just a sad testimony to our psyche and our upbringing and our lack of acceptance of our national identity and national consciousness. And there's work that must be done, just like the work that y'all are doing, which is critical, to get people to dig deep within themselves and love themselves. Yeah. Celebrate yourself.
That sounds like a lot of work, though.
Yeah. No, it's not a lot of work. It's not a lot of work at all. It just requires you to get still, stop looking outward and looking inward. Who am I? Yeah. How much do I love myself? And once I can answer that question, then I can love you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When I look at you, I see me. When I look at you, I see me. When I look at you, I see me. So what are you selling? Yeah. Yeah. You're selling content, somebody else selling fashion, somebody else selling visual art. And I begin to buy from my people. Yeah. And they're models. They're models for that. Jay-Z is a model. There are lots and lots of models on the African continent. Young, enterprising, very creative black men and women. And when I say black, all shades of black. And people who identify as black, who have decided, you know what? I am going to make money for me and my people. And I like what I see when I look at myself. No other race can define me. And let us use the cooperative principle to support each other. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's a Barbadian, because I remember watching Westwood part from Trinidad, and that was big.
Royal Palm Estate.
Yeah, and we watch it, Oliver. Yeah. So is it a Barbadian thing that we don't identify ourselves as good? Or we don't want to? Remember they had these strict parents? Remember how they were strict parents and all of us watched it? The strictest parents?
You watched it. Yeah. And you thought, and I don't mean you. Okay. We watched it and we thought, oh, this is good Caribbean film.
You put it in a box.
So you put it in a box. Yeah. And then you went and you watched LA Law or you watched Grey's Anatomy. And you subliminally compared the two. Yeah. And you rated them, Grey's Anatomy, and you came all the way down to Oliver, and then you went to whatever Barbados was offering. Bus stop or whatever. Beijing bus stop or whatever. And that is the issue that we have to grapple with. Yeah. When we look at, it's like going into the supermarket and you buy a bottle of season, you look at it, you say, oh yeah, this making Barbados. They could not one, you say, oh yeah, this making Trinidad. So you rate that. Yeah. And you do it subliminally. Yeah. And you look at this one and you say, oh, this is by Dole. All right? And you put this in your car if you can afford it at that point in time. And you say things like, you know, I see a real good Bajan hot sauce. What's a Bajan hot sauce? Yeah. You had a real good hot sauce. Yeah. But it is difficult. And again, remember, people, I'm saying there's no right or wrong to this. But it is difficult to break out of that mindset. Yeah. And one of the several ways to do it is for people with influence, like yourself, to lead by example. So tell me about the local stuff that you were using. Tell me about the local artists that you like. Tell me about where you shop with local producers. I mean, if they're not good, they're not good, because quality control is universal. Right. But you know, as a Barbadian, how do you support Barbadian? And look at Zone Clothing. Barbadian. Right. Enterprise. Now, I'm not saying you have to go all local, because that's not real.
Realistic.
You know, Amazon delivers to your doorstep. Yeah. But a conscious effort to make that choice. And right now, there's hardly anything that you want to buy that you cannot find a local equivalent. So if you start simply by asking yourself, what can I buy to support local? I'm a huge foodie. So there's certain things that I don't buy from a supermarket because I have found through COVID, going on my phone is so easy. You know, you're in lockdown and you can't go anywhere, and I come home from work and I'm just laying there because there's nothing else to do, and I go on my phone and I saw this place called Future Green. They're delivering fresh vegetables to your door. Yeah. Herbs and vegetables to your door. Well,
Yeah.
in my thing, and I DM, and they start delivering. If you see the things.
Yeah.
If you see the things,
Yeah,
from
good
local
stuff.
zucchini and squash to mustard
One of my
greens
favorite
to
dark
this.
chocolates.
Yes.
It's made right here in
Right
Barbados.
here in Barbados.
Agapi's made right here
Yes.
in Barbados.
And then
it's excellent.
I love handbags, and I saw this Iola, the brand, I think, and she was making I saw her wallet, so why don't I buy a wallet from her? Then I bought a handbag, but because of social media, when you buy, share. So just
Show
put up a
people.
post,
Yeah.
Let
show
everybody know how good
people
it
what
was.
you bought.
Yeah.
So I need to know where you got that T-shirt from, and, and that is how it's gonna start small, and then it's going to mushroom. Hair care products, makeup, and then of course you have services. We do a art walk every 2 weeks, and it showcases local practitioners and what they're doing. On Sunday, I'm just there watching it, and I saw this guy who repurposes sneakers.
Is this the airbrush guy?
Yes. So you could take
Yes,
a
I did
old
see
pair of
that. That's
sneakers
really,
to him,
yeah.
and he just fancy them up.
Yes.
You want a pair of sneakers?
Brand new.
I don't wear sneakers. I had to go and get a pair of sneakers.
So
Make them look old, and they start giving them
Wait,
to
so if
him.
you need sneakers to crop over, we could check that out. Get your
Exactly.
boots and everything
Then
done.
I mean, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
That's my jam.
Oh my
This-
gosh.
this-
this is
Yeah,
good.
awesome.
Asian
So
girl
good.
doing jams, and now she started doing pestos,
Yeah.
and now she's doing
Pepper jam.
salad.
Yeah.
Salad dressing.
What we
I mean,
keep saying here on this podcast,
Yes.
we have the talent. It is right here. Look
Clean
for
Street
it.
Gourmet. She
Yeah.
does those amazing cookies, and we've not taught services.
Yeah.
We haven't even got into
Not
services
yet.
as yet. So I always tell, when I speak with practitioners, I say, always look for the silver lining coming out of COVID. We would not have known. Y'all probably would not have thought of doing a podcast if it wasn't for COVID.
Yeah.
Because you'd been doing your own thing, face to face, whatever. And COVID has forced us to look at our lives differently, to have a greater appreciation of each other and what we can contribute to this planet. So I wouldn't want to go through COVID again, the death,
Please
and the
no.
destruction, and the whatnot.
Yeah.
But I do celebrate the great outcomes. I would not have known that all of these artists existed, these practitioners existed, if it were not for COVID. And not because of the COVID grant, just doing what we were forced to do during COVID.
To keep your mental
Go
health.
digital, go digital, look at content.
Yeah.
I saw this guy, German Waith, I think that's his name. He's a vocalist and he plays guitar. I'd never heard of this man in my life. Young Barbadian, plays great guitar, but the most amazing voice.
Right.
If you're old school like me, he sounds like Al Green. He sounds like Marvin Gaye, but he writes his own music.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You're like a little mind blown.
Yeah.
No, because when I talk about it, I get quite emotional because, I mean, this is
It's
in Barbados,
here.
you know.
Yeah.
It's in Barbados.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense asking ourselves, but why we didn't know about this before? It
We
is
know
what
it now.
is.
No.
Now you know.
Yeah.
So what do you
Can
do?
we do?
And you hear people say, I hear people say all the time, you're going to have to work until you can't work anymore because when we listen to the radio, we don't hear any decent broadcasters anymore. And I say to them, why are you listening to the radio only? Do you go online? Do you listen to podcasts or whatever? They go, no. I said, but you have to. Because if you do, that's where they're not where we were.
Yeah.
That's such
You
an
know,
interesting
they're
point.
not where we were. So if you're listening to the radio, you can still hear me. You can hear Maurice. You can hear Larry. You're going to hear Admiral, because that's where they are. But if you get adventurous and you go online and you go digital, I mean, you got a phone. Stop WhatsApping who hit who and who do this, and use your data responsibly. And go on and see what is happening digitally, and it will blow your mind.
Yeah.
You know, and don't judge it by what was. So don't judge it by traditional methods. You know, because I used to fall into that trap. I'm the first to admit. I would listen to young broadcasters and I would go, but they're not doing this. But they're not.
Right.
And then one day I had to accept, but the times don't demand it. The times no longer demand that you speak standard English all the time. The times allow for you to be much more relaxed in your delivery. Does that mean that you shouldn't know standard English? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You have to,
Yeah.
because that's the currency that you need. But sometimes the late John Doe, we were chatting with him before we started. Sometimes I would hear him on the radio, I would hear Scott, and the things that they would say would be so funny. I mean, so absolutely funny in Bajan dialect.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it ever happened to you, but I know for sure Warren would get calls, reminding him that it is radio. You really should speak standard English.
A certain gentleman did give me
Yeah.
a call on one Saturday
Really?
morning.
Yeah. But I think the as a broadcaster, and I'm wondering, but as a broadcaster, you just need to know your audiences and know time and place.
Right.
If you want to hear some of the sweetest Bajan, listen to Alfred Pragnell, or listen
Yeah.
to Vic Fernandes,
Yeah.
or listen to Marvel Manning. But if you want to hear some of the most eloquent broadcasts, listen to the same three. So it is about time and place and knowing when and being versatile.
Yeah.
And being versatile.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a response to the
Yeah.
question, but I was
But we
right.
talking.
That was right, Anna.
I want to switch gears a bit because you're here. And just a bit about crop over. Now, we've heard now that a lot
I
of
was
people...
hoping she'd forgotten.
No, just a little bit. Not even about routes or anything. Just about crop over in general. I know you've talked about it before because we've heard people say, "No, everything is called carnival and it's all washed down. Wherever you go, is the same. You're getting the same experience." There's some people who have said that Barbados crop over offered something different. But however, sometimes, obviously, you gotta go with the market, go with the money. That sometimes it may have a feeling of being like some of the rest or being washed down. What are your thoughts on that?
You've asked a perfect question, so I gotta sit up because this is actually my favorite question. The fact of the matter is, again, we've moved really far ahead and not spent enough time thinking it through, I think. And again, this is not an indictment. It happens. And so crop over is, in some instances, is losing its authenticity. So I can buy, and I will use examples that I've used in other interviews before. I can buy a costume, which would be my backpack, my headpiece, my bikini, my one piece. And I can buy it Grenada Carnival, Trinity Carnival, Barbados Carnival, Hollywood Carnival, Dubai Carnival,
Miami
Marrakesh
Carnival.
Carnival,
Every
Black
carnival.
Rock Carnival, Under the Sea Carnival, Spirit of
Yeah.
Atlantis Carnival. So I then have to decide, once I buy this costume, where is the cheapest place to go? So I can get the same costume, but the airfare to Grenada is cheaper than the airfare to voyage to the Atlantis. All right, where I have family. Oh, I have family in Jamaica, so the airfare ain't too bad, but so the costume doesn't change. So my decision is based on a number of other factors.
Right.
So I end up going where I get the best deal.
Yeah.
Because it is all
The same.
Same.
Right.
that is the problem.
Yes.
And so, since 2019, we haven't had crop over in 2020 or 21. We've been trying at the NCF. It is a mission of mine to make the festival as authentically Bajan as possible. Again, it's information. People will assume that means that you're going to hear, old-time calypso, and the costume's going to be 8 yards of cloth, and you ain't gonna...
He's a staple, eh?
Right, and you can't walk up and go down on the ground. Well, watch me. Watch me. Because being authentic does not mean being boring.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, it comes back to your national consciousness. Why would you think that an expression of who we are as Barbadians, as Bajans, must be boring when you compare it to Trinidad or when you compare it to Jamaica? Absolutely not.
But what does it mean? Play more Bajan music? What is
It
authentically?
means a lot of things, and it's all experiential.
Okay.
When you get to let's go visitors before we go local.
Right.
And that's another pet peeve of mine. Whenever we talk about crop over, certain sectors talk about visitors, or the visitors and the experience with the visitors. Yeah, but what about my experience? I
Yeah.
live here.
Yep.
And the year the visitors can't come, like
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
You got
for me.
You
Yeah.
looking for me. So you give me
Every staycation,
the
the world
best
wanted us.
experience possible so that I could tell the world for you that this is
Yeah.
the place to come. that is the model that we need to get to. So what do I want for crop over that makes me celebrate Barbados? And again, I will say something I've repeated before. I go to almost every all-inclusive fete during crop over. I like a pop kite. I out to all. Long before I went back to the NCF. I love crop over.
Yeah.
So you're in a fete, Scott Le Roc playing, and I get corn soup. I love corn soup. But tell me where I can find the best corn soup in the world. In Trinidad.
Yeah.
Correct.
So if I go by what you say about the visitors coming, and a lot of visitors come from Trinidad, and they taste the corn soup in Barbados, what they gonna say?
Yeah.
Tell me what they gonna say.
Yeah. Where
Yeah,
do
the
you
one about the money, though.
Tell me-
when they not fish cakes,
Tell me what the Jamaicans gonna say when they come to Barbados
And get the patties.
and get chicken met with jerk seasoning
Yes,
as opposed to
yeah.
jerk
Jerk
chicken.
chicken.
Tell me what they gonna say.
Yeah. And I always wonder
As opposed to coming to Barbados and saying, you know, because they do make fish cakes.
Yeah.
Bajan fish cakes are different.
Different.
Because
Yes.
in Jamaican fish cakes, just as tasty, but they're flat.
Yes.
Ours
yeah.
are like balls because of
Yeah.
the raising agent and whatnot. You know, I went to Barbados and I had some amazing, as they say, codfish cakes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know, they call them fish cakes.
Yeah.
I went to Barbados and I had the most amazing soup. But you know what was in it? The whole head of a dolphin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But their dolphin is not our dolphin. You know,
Yeah, it's
Tho-
different.
those are the
Yeah, it
conversations.
is true. I love doubles.
Those-
I
those
love
are the-
doubles when I go to Trinidad.
Those are the conversations that you want. You know, I had peas and rice in Barbados, but it's not like that. You know, we
Yeah,
have our
macaroni,
peas,
yeah.
and don't talk about we pie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Not pie, pie. Talk about we
The
pie.
Caribbean people ain't care when you
Right.
say we got the best pie.
Best pie
people
in
gonna
the
refuse
world.
me or gonna curse me for this.
Everything else is macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
Macaroni
We have a
pie is Barbados.
It's worth that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it is those kinds of experiences at the exclusion of the corn soup and the doubles. No. But not that they, and the word I used in other interviews, predominate. That's
Yes.
all you have. So that's the food.
Yeah.
You know? And you want every little nook and cranny that has a valid health certificate and great food and beverage practices to be cooking. So if you normally, every Friday, you go home or you go to an upscale restaurant, go to the little establishment at the corner of your Gap or your avenue. Go in St. Lawrence Gap where they've got some amazing thing. Go to some food trucks.
Yeah.
They got some food trucks that do some really, really, really good food. Do that and celebrate crop over that way. That is
Yeah.
authentic. Let's look at the music. I go to a breakfast party and I'm hearing music from other artists, including dancehall from in the 80s and the 90s. Now, I like a piece of old dub, bad.
Yeah.
But during crop over, when
Yeah.
I go to a crop over event and Scott Le Roc playing, I want to hear the hits,
Yeah.
not only of the season, but of the festival. If you can play Doo-Doo from Trinidad and Tobago from 1999, you could play Biggie Harry from 1999 too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he had a hit in 1999.
Yeah.
Is it that you don't want to hear music from other islands? It is not that.
Yeah.
You don't want it to predominate
Dominates. Yeah.
because it is Barbados. And when I come to Barbados as a destination, I want to enjoy Barbados.
Yeah.
Because that's what the Crop Over Festival is supposed to be. That's where its roots are grounded, in Barbados. And that's what I mean by authenticity. So we mustn't be afraid when people come. We can't assume, oh, I live in Illinois, or she lives in Illinois, so she's going to want steak. No, she
Yeah.
want Bajan food.
And they
But she could get steak in Illinois.
Yeah, definitely.
She could get steak in
We'll
Illinois.
enjoy what we
She
have.
want, even if it's Bajan steak, even if it's Bajan cows, you know, like we do a licking
Yeah.
beef stew.
Yeah.
That's what
how
she
do you
wants.
get a handle on something like that though, with international promoters and
Bands
and band
You
leaders
need to
coming in?
regulate, but I'm not a big believer in regulation. You need conversation. I'm a big believer in conversation. So we met with the 4-day morning bands, and I said to them, they were talking about, oh, can we get a subvention? I say, I'll get you a subvention if you play Bajan music on the road. Deal.
What?
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
On the road 4-day morning, you can hear the majority
Bajan
Bajan
music.
music. And then I said, but I also want some tuk and some percussion in there. There's nothing like iron and steel
Yeah,
on the road
yeah.
4-day morning.
I
Let me
love
tell
it.
you,
Yeah.
drinks in your head. Yes, drinks in your head.
Like a party
Paint-
carol, babe.
Paint and mud, and you're moving to tuk and steel.
Yeah, that's
so.
right.
We are going to start I think it's as early as next week. My music officers tell me, and we are going to be training in communities iron massives, and we're going to assign them to bands on the road
Wow.
4-day morning. So we do it in the first year, and we do it in the second year. After that, it'll become ingrained, and you do it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So the regular music trucks, right? You can play your trade, but out front as well is percussion rhythms.
Rhythm section.
Rhythm section. Right. So exactly. There's nothing. And why does it resonate? Why does it go to your heart?
Yeah, you're ready to do this.
Right, because of your ancestry.
Yeah.
The drum,
Yeah.
but it's African.
Yeah.
The drum is the soundtrack of our soul.
Yeah.
And that is what moves us. So we're doing that as well. At the private events, we have agreed that we will assist them to have authentic art and craft on sale, and whatever little branding and whatnot. We might put up some chattel houses for their bars, and so that when you take your photos, the photos become iconic. They say, where you were, with that backdrop, where you were. You were in Barbados. That's what I mean about the authenticity
I live in
of the
Barbados.
festival.
Yes.
Yeah. and actually, it's one of my hashtags on my Instagram. I from Boat Hay. Or if I see you doing something excellent, I say, oh, she from Boat Hay. And that's the mindset that we need to begin to have. We need to begin celebrating each other. And I'm not talking about, it is not an indictment, again, using that word, that we pull down each other, although we do. But it is, I like to look at my glass as half full and as refillable. It is about celebrating each other. Yeah. So you don't have to go on the road, You don't have to be like me, out to all like a pop guy.
Who don't go on the road?
Yes. Right, exactly. So, Rebecca, you don't have to go on the road because it is not you.
Yeah, I can still enjoy it
But you can still enjoy it in other ways, and you can still celebrate and promote your festival, which is Crop Over, in other ways. And there are ways that you can do that from at home. We've started an online series because of COVID again, showing you how you can make your own simple costumes. We are using Lauren, I can't remember her last name, but she is a veteran designer. And she has Trinidadian roots.
Yes. I know Lauren.
Lauren. So Lauren is doing a series of video demos, showing you how you can update your backpack, or you can embellish your T-shirt, or you could whatever. So one day you turn up for work in your embellished T-shirt because you're celebrating Crop Over.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
I don't need to see everybody on the road. Please, everybody, don't come on the road. You don't have enough. We are trying to manage it as responsibly as possible because guess what? We're still in the COVID pandemic. Yeah. But you can celebrate Crop Over. You can go there. People making wonderful earrings. You can buy your pair of earrings and put it on. Take your selfie, put it up.
Yeah. Your mask. A lot of
I
people
love Crop
doing
Over.
masks. Yeah.
You can embellish your mask.
Yeah, Pawnee Bellamy mask.
Right.
Yeah, all types of masks.
You may not like large crowds, but we're doing shop lines. So 50, 60 people having a shop line. You catch the Crop Over vibe and you get on with your business and you just put it up. Yeah. And we're working with the BTMI to then take all of these messages to the world. So we work very, very closely with them to ensure that all of the best of Barbados, not just Crop Over, gets to the world. That's it.
I gotta say kudos to you and kudos to the team at the NC.
Oh, not to me, to the team. I lead an amazing team. Yeah. They're very reticent to come out in public, like they would never want to do this. Dorsey Boyce and my fellas in Plant and Equip, who literally put down the stages for almost every single event in Barbados. Then you've got private service providers, Dwayne and David, and we've got event promoters, Rudy and Zamani and Ruel and so many others. Then of course the artists, because the artists create the soundtrack and the artists create the backdrop, the visual artists, and then the spoken word artists and the entertainers and whatnot, then they create the soundtrack. And if you just stop what you're doing, like literally stop what you're doing and spend some time listening to what is being created. Yeah. I encourage everyone to do that. It's very easy in your daily life to get into a rut or what I call a routine. Yeah. So you do the same thing every day and you think that your life is varied. No. And it is to a point. Yeah. But when you stop, just tonight, instead of watching Netflix and an African movie, I
like my soca music.
Yeah. No, but just without choosing anything, go onto Instagram, just start scrolling. Just start scrolling. Yeah. And if you like something, as you know, based on the algorithms, then it'll keep sending you stuff more like that. Yeah. And let Scott give you some recommendations. No, I'm serious.
Actually, last night I did that on the NCS page, and I actually saw the
You were
the
doing
short
your
features
research.
with Lauren. Yes. And I got hooked. And there's one with Junior.
With junior Kidum,
Yeah.
we're not having
I
a junior
saw that
Kidum
in
today
schools,
to keep
yeah.
the little children safe. So
Yeah.
we're going into schools, and then we're gonna let them have a little jump with t-shirts and a
Which
king and queen
that's
of
a
the
good
thing.
idea,
You know,
yeah.
just so that everybody still feels engaged.
Which is
But-
important, because I said, even with my kids, I said, they don't really have a concept
Of what crop over is.
crop over is, because they're young, there was lockdown. So I thought that was a good idea. Even get it, I don't know if you get it in nurseries and all these schools, but I did see it. And I think it's a good idea so that they can still feel some of the culture, because some of them really don't know.
You should introduce them to go back onto the website, and there's a crop over. There's a digital coloring book.
Oh,
Really?
yeah.
Yep.
I didn't see that, yeah.
Pull it up. It's a coloring book. It's fully digital. Again, done by a local artist who's doing amazing work with NFTs as well. I cannot remember his name. Shannon is his name. And he created a digital coloring book for us.
Big up Shannon. I'm going to look for
all
it.
based on heritage. So you could do connect the dots, then you color. So then there's a digital box of crayons based on the Crayola crayons.
Yeah.
There are 48 of them, and you can go on and you can color and all the rest. And what are you
Cool,
coloring?
it is.
You're coloring
Yeah.
windmills and Mother Sally's
Yeah.
and stilt walkers and the
Yeah.
steel donkey, and it has a little explanation.
And it
We
might
have
sound
got
funny. I was actually scared about that, because our culture to me is so important to me. I grew up listening to music, and it's always been a part of my family.
Yeah.
So then to see kids not really understanding and feeling it for those 2 years, it was one of my things. I said,
but that's your
Yeah.
role.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
again, that's one of the sad
Yeah.
things that we're not passing it on.
yeah, we need to.
That you're not passing it
Yeah.
on. And we're not the only ones doing it.
Yeah.
You've got literary artists. There's a book called Baby Here. I think that's what it's called. But go on to IG again. Shakira Bourne
Yeah.
is doing amazing work with children's stories.
Yeah, I bought Bajan. There's a Bajan baby book.
That's the
Yeah,
book I mean.
yeah,
You
yeah.
bought that book.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's an amazing book.
Yeah, very good.
There are lots of others. There's Andre Daniel, who is teaching children how to play the piano digitally.
Yes.
So he sends
Yeah.
out a podcast.
Really?
And you can go on.
Yeah, we need to keep our kids connected to our culture. It's very important.
And you need to do the research. And again, what's the research now? Going on your
Yeah, it's
phone.
simple.
social media.
And as you see things, share and share and share. We've done a documentary series called Bushti, which looks at the history of our plants and trees and herbs and shrubs and all the rest, and how they're used for medicinal and spiritual and culinary purposes. That's on Instagram. That's on our site as well. But other people are doing work as well.
Yeah.
There are other people who are because when you start, you inspire other people.
Yes.
Someone inspired y'all to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna watch you all and say, "But I can do this."
wanna do
My,
it
right,
too.
right.
Yeah.
My topic is what you want is variety.
Yes.
Don't look at Culture Minds and go, "Oh, I'm gonna do
the
a
barbecue pigtail
right,
era.
I'm gonna do a podcast called Minds of Culture." No. Look
No,
at what
people.
3 amazing young Barbadians have done, and look at the root of it. Oh, they're doing a podcast. I think I have something to say. What would my podcast be about?
Yeah.
My podcast will be about, fashion in 2022. Fine. Go out there and do your podcast. Come to the NCF. We'll help.
Yeah.
Yes.
I find the opposite happens too often, though. When people try to do the same thing somebody else is doing for
The
some
barbecue
reason.
pigtail, and where are they? You remember
No, before
that?
the barbecue pigtail, girlfriend, the roast corn.
Oh, Lord.
yeah.
You're
Yeah,
going up
boy.
the highway and you see one
Yes,
lady doing
yeah.
roast corn by Norman Nels just before you get to
Yeah,
Norman
I do remember that.
All right, and in 2 weeks, 6 people doing roast
Yeah.
corn going up to Norman Nels.
And then you
on the
see
boat.
nobody.
And that because it's not
market,
sustainable.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we need to begin to teach ourselves while we wait for the education system, and it's getting there to continue to catch up.
Yeah.
We need to begin to encourage each other and ourselves. I always tell my staff, don't bring what you had last year.
Yeah.
And they know.
Yeah.
I say, what is the concept for, I don't know, Bridgetown Market? We're not having one this year, so I can use that. Oh, CEO, I said, it's last year. Don't bring it.
Yeah.
Keep what worked, bring something fresh.
Yeah.
Because that is what the world demands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before social media, it was all right. But
No,
now
no.
we're exposed to so much information
Yeah.
and it happens so quickly. On any given night, Now that days of our lives done. You can watch. There's so many things.
Yeah.
When last you watched network TV? ABC, CBS, or NBC? Who's watching that nowadays? Remember when that was our own? They were our only options.
Yes.
Not anymore. You can watch this and that, and their podcasts. And I find myself watching 1,000,001 documentaries from independent producers on amazing things. Michelle and Barack Obama.
Yeah.
They've produced some brilliant documentaries, and then they're independent movies. And that's just for me. And I'm not a big TV person. I'm not big on movies at all. I read, and there's so many amazing things to read. And that is at the crux of a lot of our issues. We don't read enough.
Yeah.
If you don't read, you don't have any information.
I love reading. Can we get, but no, we're talking about reading. Before you go, we're going to get a little personal. We talked about business. We talked about crossover.
I know where she come from.
I mean,
She's very fiery, you know. We have to.
Oh, I've watched. But she may have met her match.
I think so. But body image was a really big topic for us, right? You are in the limelight. People, yes, you are. People love to let you know if they think your hair look good, if you dress bad, if they think you're pretty, whatever they think about you, they think it's okay to tell you. Now, you have been in the public's eye. How do you deal with when people criticize or they talk about image? How do you deal with it?
Sometimes the criticism is timely. Sometimes it is well meant, even if it may not be delivered in a way that doesn't wound you, because nobody likes criticism. I've never met anyone who does. It takes time for you to grow comfortable enough with yourself that you take it for what it is and you process it. I have learned over a period of time with everything, criticism, circumstances, things that happen to you, or achievements, that you take what is the best out of it and you discard the rest.
Okay.
So that helps. The other thing, at the core though, is to be extremely comfortable with yourself, which means that you must have some honest conversations with yourself. Not to put down yourself at all, because we're all wonderfully made, but to have some honest conversations with yourself. So a long time ago, I would think, my daughter is 32, so around that time, which is when I was at Starcom. Yeah, Michelle was born when I was at Starcom. And I was doing a lot more television and whatnot, and then, people apply whether she's good looking or she's ugly or she's too clear or she's too dark. So it was around that, about 30 years ago.
Wow.
I looked myself in the mirror and I said, they don't like what they see, so you decide that you like what you see.
Yes.
So I loved what I saw. What you could do about it? The other thing is, from the other end now, you must acknowledge that they are your public. Yeah. They really make or break you. They are your bread and butter. So not so much as how you conform to give them what you want, but you come up with a plan that they have to accept you. And I always tell people when I get these kind of probing questions, when people want to know your business, I always tell people, make sure that you have an answer for the but. Let me explain the but. Where people will say, oh, Carol Roberts, she ain't a Miss Barbados, but when they get to that but, damn it, make sure it's what they're going to say next is good.
Yeah.
Oh, she ain't a Miss Barbados, but, oh, she real good on the radio. That's all I want, I want post-but. Pre-but is your business. Pre-but is your opinion. It is your judgment. And chances are, when I do meet you, if I were like you, I'd come up with some pre-but too. I want to hear what coming after. But.
Yeah.
Even now as a CEO, oh my God, she's such a B word. But she fair though.
Yeah.
Right.
But she creative though. But I only want to hear post-but. Pre-but is yours.
I like that.
We want post-but people.
You want post-but.
That's our new slogan.
And post-but, you have to work towards. You get it every single
Every day.
day.
Keep pushing.
And you work on you. And you work on you for you, not for them, and I'll tell you why. And it comes with experience. Huh? You grow up in Barbados all the time. You're too tall. You're too dark. Too ugly. You're too this. You ain't come from. We come from Vauxhall. You're this and that and that. You allow that to fill your brain to the point where you are reticent about stepping forward to do certain things, and you unsure and whatnot. And you say that you're happy and you're content, but you're really quite miserable. All right. And you go to some place like Jamaica. I went to Jamaica in 1988. I love cricket, and every year I used to do, when they have the tests here, I would interview the captains of the West Indies team and the touring team. And Jamaica, RJR in Jamaica, invited me to tour with the team to do my captain's table over there. So I went over there. Wearing the same clothes, same hair, the same everything. And people are referring to me as a Nubian princess. Right. Well, I can't accept that. I'm like, who they mean? Who do you mean? Because in Barbados, I'm the black ugly girl. Right. In Jamaica, I'm something else. I went to Dubai. Remember when we did the Dubai promotion? Took my show to Dubai. Yeah. And men are approaching you and women saying, may I touch your hair? Yeah. And because I have this thing in my head that's been given by people, I'm like, but it's not my hair. They say, I just want to feel it. But then you come back here, and a couple of weeks ago, I was doing something, and it was featured on Instagram, and some woman put a comment, oh no, Carol, your hair is too distracting. Oh, I'm like, she didn't live in, I have this hair now. How long have I decided that I like wild hair?
Yeah. And we need to get away from that. If I'm doing my job, I'm good at my job. If my hair a little wild, if I got a little red, a little more hot.
But that won't ever happen.
Yeah.
That will not happen.
Here.
Because if we're also honest, no matter how grounded we think we are and how zen and whatnot, there's certain things that when you see, your mind just goes, this is whatever. So don't worry about that. It will happen. I mean, if I saw, I don't know, a man walking down Broad Street with a thong on, I mean, as zen as I am, I go, what the hell? And then I go, well, to each his own. Again, post-but, that's what you want. You want to go, to each their own, and you move on. Because you've got your own life to live, and you're in the moment, and you're not judging. So it's always a work in progress. Some days you get up, and you yourself feel less than perfect, less than 100% for whatever reason. But you always strive to get up. Most days, I am me. I love me. I think I'm fabulous. Now that pisses people off, especially people with agendas who are determined to pull you down. Right. The biggest revenge for them is just being your fabulous self.
Authentically.
Being an authentic, exactly, Rebecca, authentically fabulous. And of course, if you have a partner or a parent or a sibling or a child who is prepared to look at you and think that you're absolutely fabulous, or all of the above.
Even better.
Even better. So it's not about fans calling and saying, oh my God, Scott, you're so cute. That's all right. But that's not authentic. It's about going home or going to a space where it's with someone where you can be totally yourself and they love you regardless, and I have that. And that's one of the things that you want to strive for. And once you have that, then who the hell cares? Post-but.
Hashtag post-but.
That is what you want. Doesn't mean you don't take care of yourself. Absolutely not. Because you love yourself enough to take care of yourself. I love clothes. I love hair. I like makeup. I like shoes. I like books. I like bags. But it's all for me, not to create an impression for anybody else. But me.
I don't know if this is going to count as a post, but this has been a very lovely conversation. But
we
gotta go.
We gotta put a wrap.
That's all right. That's cool. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I don't like doing interviews from this side. I like being on the other side.
I know the feeling.
Right? Yeah, but there's a vulnerability to being honest in an interview, and I like to be honest in interviews. Not to say what I think people will want to hear, but to say what I think what is real?
Right.
Yeah.
What not so much truth,
Keep it 100.
but what is real? Keep it 100. Yeah.
And that is what we want for
thank
Culture
you so much
Minds.
for having me.
Yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
most
It's been
welcome.
amazing.
Hopefully we can have you back.
Yeah, and get more
I want
personal
more.
with Carol. We
Next,
got
you know,
more
next,
questions.
she's going to be asking me about Spanx or something. Not me. I will not do that. But the refreshment was good.
Of course, we got to say a big thank you to
Yes.
Celsius. Big up our sponsor every time. Zone 5 Clothing. Big
First
Hill.
time I've tried this and it's good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really
It's
good.
really good.
It's
A lot
healthy
of
too.
flavors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Catch you next time on Culture Minds, guys.
Bye-bye.
Hey,
Thanks.
bye.
Happy crop over.
Woo, happy crop over. I can't wait.
Thanks for listening to the Culture Minds podcast series. We sincerely hope you enjoyed the show. For more about your favorite podcast series, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Culture Minds Podcast Series, or visit www.culturemindspodcast.com.